Hello, welcome to Recovery with Patrick. We're going to talk about a couple of things today, anxiety and urges and cravings. Now, if you go to the link in the description, you'll have our website. And in the website, I'm going to have two panic videos, one for anxiety and one for urges and cravings. What I want to do here is explain what is going on in the neurobiology, both for cravings and anxiety. So we can kind of have an idea when you go there to the website what you're going to be working with, and we can jump right into it. So this is a little bit of background into both. So if you go to the website, also you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter. We'd be interested in hearing your stories of recovery and where you're at now, and I'm sure some of you have fascinating stories I would love to hear about. So let's go ahead and jump into it. But before I do, many of you probably noticed the cap I'm wearing. I was in the Marine Corps, and quite honestly, I owe the Marine Corps my life. In 1979, they sent me to treatment when I was in Okinawa. I had a captain, I can't remember his name. There's about 3 or 4 of us that went to treatment from my company. I think actually 2 or 3 of us. And while I didn't stay sober, it planted the seed. And I'm not going to talk much about my story. That I'll do more in my podcast with my daughter, and that'll be coming up soon. But I am grateful to the Marine Corps for saving my life. And all my brothers and sisters who served, thank you. And especially those of you who had to keep your heads down, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much for what you did for all of us. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. Cravings and urges. So most of you have all been through this, right? Understand what a craving is. I want to make this very clear. When people who aren't in recovery hear the word cravings, they're thinking about chocolate cake. They're thinking about ice cream. They're thinking about sweets. It ain't the same thing. I have a PowerPoint slide that I juxtapose 2 images. One, the very famous painting of Scream with the man with his hand held in his head held in his hands, pardon me. And the next, a picture of a piece of chocolate cake. They're not the same. So let's talk about what's happening during a craving. Generally, they last 10 to 20 minutes, shorter if you do some of the things that we're going to talk about here, a little bit longer if you're fighting it. The one thing you don't want to do not bear down on it, because that's only going to intensify it and make it last longer, right? So with this knowledge, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you can do this, right? But while you're going through it, you're going to feel like, I have no power. This is washing over me, right? Like, what the hell? You have no power. I'm going to tell you where your power is in this, right? This craving is going to end one of 2 ways, right? You get to decide how it ends. You get to decide what happens next. So there's your power, right? When you feel like you don't have any power and this thing is just kicking your ass and you're having a hard time with it, you get to decide how it ends, all right? So what's happening during a craving? What's happening is my brain is asking for the reward, right? There have been significant changes that happen in our brain due to alcoholism and addiction. Drugs and alcohol get put to the top of the survival hierarchy in a place they don't deserve. They get put above food, water, shelter, and sex, even sex, right? The drugs and alcohol become more important. So when we think about what a craving is, imagine you haven't had water in 3 days. What would you do to get water, right? Let's say you haven't eaten in 5 to 7 days, a week. You haven't had food in a week. What are you going to do to get some food, right? This is what a craving is. It's a survival instinct. And that's why these things are so pernicious, so difficult to get through. Now, I'm going to give you some things that we can do to get through this. Number 1, breath. All right. A lot of the stuff I do comes out of mindfulness, and we're going to talk a little bit about urge surfing, which is out of mindfulness. It's a mindfulness technique. Now, one of the precepts of mindfulness is I don't want uncomfortable thoughts to go away. I want to change my relationship to those thoughts, right? The same with relapse prevention and mindfulness. I don't want my addiction or my alcoholism to go away. I want to change my relationship to it, right? So if we think about what's happening while you're in the middle of a craving, it's going to rise and it's going to fall. It doesn't go straight up and stay there, right? It's going to fall off a little bit and then it's going to come back. While this is going on, we can use breath. Don't want to make it go away. Don't bear down on it. Don't try to push it off at arm's length to push it down. Be with it and breathe your way through it. When you take the in-breath, this is really important. Breathe through your nose, okay? The reason that's important is by breathing through my nose, it does two things. Number one, it fills my lungs with air from the bottom up, so I'm not shallow breathing, right? And number two, it activates the parasympathetic part of my nervous system, right, which is calming and soothing. So when I was a small child, I'm so old. How old are you? I'm glad you asked. I got to do my own shtick because my stuff isn't that funny. But I'm so old that when I was a small child, they didn't have rescue inhalers for asthma, for folks with asthma. So if you had an attack, what did you do, right? Well, doctors would say, breathe through your nose. And that never made any sense to me. I had to know why that worked, right? You've got somebody going, and they can't get enough breath. But breathing through my nose activates a calming and soothing part of my central nervous system. So you can control what part of your nervous system is being activated. The other thing it does, if you're in an elevated state, we're going to talk about anxiety here in a second, but if you're in an elevated state, you're probably shallow breathing. Your heart rate's probably ticked up a little bit. And not only are you having this craving, which is equated with a survival instinct, your brain is also going, oh crap, we're in trouble, right? And it kicks off into a survival instinct because all my brain wants to do is get my body through the next 30 seconds, 1 minute, whatever, to stay alive. So think about the rising and falling of the cravings, right? They'll peak in intensity and they'll drop, and they'll peak and they'll drop. Breathe your way through it. So let's do a couple of breathing exercises with me. In through your nose on a 4 count. We're going to pause, and then we're going to exhale on a 6 count. So in, hold, out. Good. Let's do it again. In, pause, out. Good, good. Some of you probably are familiar with this. Some people call this 4 square breathing. I didn't actually do it quite like that, or box breathing. It's an in count on a 4 count up through my nose, hold for a 4 count, exhale on a 4 count. So you do this, you slow things down, right? Don't fight the craving. And urge surfing is about understanding why this is happening. So real quick, one of the other changes that happens in the brain, I want to talk about this really fast, as alcoholics and addicts, we become hypersensitive to stress. What does that mean? That means when I get overwhelmed, I get stressed, and I say, and I back out, and it happens really fast, right? The other thing is, if I'm emotionally dysregulated, I'm angry, I'm fearful, I'm enraged, whatever it is, right, that is going to cause stress, and that is going to cause my heart rate to tick up, shallow breathing, all the things that's going to kick my brain off into a survival mode. So breath will help us in understanding that this only lasts 10 to 20 minutes, 10 minutes on the short end, maybe even less if you breathe your way through it. Understand and remember where your power is, right? Your power is in deciding how this is going to end. One of two ways. You get to choose. All right, you with me? All right. If you're having a craving or urge, go to the website and we will jump right into it with breathing, and I will talk you through it, and we will walk through this together, okay? The other panic button video that we have on the website is for anxiety. So let's talk about anxiety real quick. A lot of the features are similar. But what I want to talk about before the anxiety starts, before it gets like a runaway freight train. So hopefully we can get in front of this by the time you go to the video we have on the website. Locate it first. physically, right? Now think about the last time you had a real bad anxiety attack, maybe even a panic attack. Where do you feel it physically first, right? For some people, their stomach starts churning, bouncing a little bit. Maybe your chest tightens up, your palms become sweaty. Some folks, their jaws, their neck, their shoulders tighten up. Wherever that is, locate it there first. If you can locate it physically first, you can get out in front of it. You're not trying to slow a freight train down now. You can get in front of it before it builds up steam. So let's do the breathing exercises. Let's do the full 4 square breathing exercise. Now I'm going to add a couple of components to this. So it's an in-breath on a 4 count. Pause. Out. Good. 2 components on the exhale. Number 1, when you exhale, imagine all your stress running out your fingertips. Some folks I work with are real tactile. This works for them. All my stress, all my tension, all my pressure, right? And on the video, I'll walk you all the way through this. The other thing is, let's create a calm, safe place right now. This takes from EMDR a little bit, but I do this in a little bit of a different way for a different reason. Calm, safe place is a place that you create. It's not a memory, right? Because maybe grandma's kitchen smelled great when she's baking cookies, right? Maybe she gave the best hugs. But here's the thing. Who knows? Maybe grandpa was a mean drunk, right? A lot of times there's connections to memories. So I want you to create your own calm, safe place. So I'll tell you what mine is. There's a beer commercial, pre-Snoop Dogg, that showed somebody, and I'm not drinking a beer, all right? So maybe I need a better example, but I can see that white sandy beach. I'm laying in the hammock. I can smell the salt air. I can hear the breakers, the gulls crying, right? I have a sweet tea in my hand. I can feel the coolness of the tea in my hand. I can feel the sweetness of the tea over my lips and my tongue, right? That's my calm, safe place, right? So let's start this breathing before we begin. I'm going to work you through a couple of cycles, and this is basically what we'll do in the panic videos. So let's find a comfortable place. If you want, you can soften your gaze, close your eyes. Remember, your in-breath is always through your nose, okay? So let's go ahead and do a couple cycles. In, hold, out. Good. Nice and easy, nice and relaxed. In, hold, out. Good. Be in your calm, safe place. Hear it, see it, feel it if you can. Okay, one more. In, hold, out. Good. And remember, all your stress, all your tension, let it all go on the exhale. Okay. So remember to go to our website and check on these panic videos. You're in a bad way, let me help walk you through it, okay? You know, the old adage from around the tables, there's no problem that picking up won't make it worse, right? So if you're coming to look at a panic video and you're watching this right now, you're doing this because you don't want to pick up. You want to learn some tools. You want to learn how to stay sober, right? You want to get through this anxiety. Let me help you, okay? So I'm here for you, my friends, and with that, all my best.